They mess with us, and the first thing that happens, usually, is the love scene.
On a movie set?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm thinking, why did they choose that shot? Why did I do it that way?
Right.
I mean, those go through my head.
Hypercritical?
Also, I'm pretty critical of myself.
Oh my God. You guys, this isn't just Hollywood drama. This is 17 years of silence finally being broken. And when I tell you the story behind Diane Lane and Richard Gere, you're going to understand why she waited this long to speak up. Like, we're talking about two of Hollywood's most respected actors, a professional relationship that shaped both their careers, and secrets that the industry has been whispering about for nearly 2 decades. So before we dive into what Diane Lane is allegedly saying now, let me take you back to where this all started, because honestly, the context makes everything so much more intense. We're talking about 2008, the making of Nights in Rodanthe, and a working relationship that would change both of their lives in ways that nobody could have predicted at the time. Diane Lane, you guys, she's been one of Hollywood's most consistent and talented actresses for decades. Born in 1965, she started acting as a child and has this incredible career spanning from A Little Romance in 1979 to recent projects like The Perfect Storm, Unfaithful, and Man of Steel. She's been nominated for an Academy Award, won multiple awards, and honestly, she's just always been that actress who brings depth and authenticity to every single role she takes on. Richard Gere, on the other hand, is literally Hollywood royalty. Born in 1949, he became a major star in the 1980s with films like American Gigolo and An Officer and a Gentleman. Then came Pretty Woman in 1990, which basically cemented his status as one of the most recognizable leading men in cinema history. We're talking about someone who's worked with the biggest names in Hollywood and has this reputation for being incredibly professional and dedicated to his craft. When these two powerhouse actors came together for Nights in Rodanthe in 2008, it seemed like the perfect pairing. The movie, based on Nicholas Sparks' novel, was about a woman going through a difficult divorce who meets a doctor at a seaside inn during a storm. Like, on paper, this was supposed to be the kind of romantic drama that both actors excelled at, and fans were genuinely excited to see them work together. The filming took place primarily in North Carolina, and from the outside, everything looked professional and smooth. Both actors were praised for their performances, and the movie, while not a massive blockbuster, did reasonably well at the box office and connected with audiences who love Nicholas Sparks' adaptations. But here's where things get interesting, you guys. Over the years since Nights in Rodanthe was released, there have been these subtle hints and industry whispers about tension between the two stars during filming. Nothing major, nothing that made headlines, but the kind of behind-the-scenes talk that people in Hollywood notice and remember. Industry insiders have occasionally mentioned that the working relationship between Lane and Gere wasn't as smooth as it appeared on screen. And honestly, when you think about it, both of these actors are known for being incredibly professional and having strong opinions about their craft, so creative differences wouldn't be completely surprising. The film industry is notorious for these kinds of professional tensions that don't become public until years later. We've seen it with countless movies where actors who seem to have great chemistry on screen actually had complicated working relationships behind the cameras. Sometimes it's about different acting methods, sometimes it's about creative control, and sometimes it's just personality conflicts that develop during the intense process of making a movie. What makes this situation particularly interesting is that both Diane Lane and Richard Gere have had long, successful careers working with many different actors and directors. They're both known for being professional and collaborative, which makes any potential conflict between them even more significant, because it suggests something specific about their working dynamic. Throughout the years following Nights in Rodanthe, both actors continued their careers without publicly discussing their experience working together in any detail. This kind of professional silence is pretty common in Hollywood, especially when there might have been behind-the-scenes tensions that could affect future projects or professional relationships. Diane Lane went on to continue her successful career with films like Secretaria, Trumbo, and various television projects. She's maintained her reputation as one of Hollywood's most respected dramatic actresses and has generally stayed away from Hollywood gossip and drama in her public statements. Richard Gere, meanwhile, continued his career while also becoming increasingly involved in humanitarian causes and activism, particularly related to Tibet and human rights issues. He's always been someone who keeps his personal and professional life relatively private, despite his high-profile status in Hollywood. The entertainment industry has this interesting dynamic where professional relationships that go wrong often don't become public knowledge until years later, when one or both parties feel comfortable speaking more openly about their experiences. Sometimes it's because of changing power dynamics in the industry, sometimes it's because of personal growth and perspective, and sometimes it's because of broader conversations about workplace behavior in Hollywood. And you guys, the timing of any potential revelations from Diane Lane is particularly significant because of the broader conversations happening in Hollywood right now about professional conduct, power dynamics, and the importance of speaking up about uncomfortable workplace situations. The No. 2 movement fundamentally changed how Hollywood talks about professional relationships and workplace behavior. Many actors and actresses have felt more empowered to speak about experiences that they previously kept private, and this cultural shift has encouraged more honest conversations about what really happens behind the scenes during film productions. It's worth noting that the entertainment industry has always had complex power dynamics, especially between established male stars and their female co-star. These dynamics can affect everything from creative decisions to how comfortable actors feel expressing their opinions or concerns during filming. When you look at Diane Lane's career trajectory and her reputation for being thoughtful and articulate about her profession, any statements she might make about past working relationships would likely be carefully considered and significant. She's not someone who typically engages in Hollywood gossip or makes dramatic public statements without good reason. The professional relationship between co-stars can significantly impact not just the final product, but also the experience of making the film for everyone involved. When there are tensions or conflicts between lead actors, it can affect the entire cast and crew, the director's ability to get the performances they want, and ultimately the quality of the finished movie. Film productions are incredibly intense environments where people work long hours in close quarters, often dealing with emotional and challenging material. These conditions can either bring out the best in professional relationships or can amplify any existing tensions or personality conflicts between cast members. Hollywood has countless stories of actors who had difficult working relationships that didn't become public knowledge until years later. Sometimes these stories involve creative differences, sometimes they involve personal conflicts, and sometimes they involve more serious professional conduct issues that affect how people feel safe and comfortable in their work environment. The fact that 17 years have passed since Nights and Rodanthe suggests that if Diane Lane is indeed speaking more openly about her experience working with Richard Gere, she's had significant time to process and reflect on whatever happened during that production. Professional actors often develop perspectives on their past work experiences that evolve over time. What might have seemed like minor professional disagreements at the time can take on different significance years later, especially when viewed through the lens of broader industry conversations about professional conduct and workplace dynamics. The entertainment industry has also changed significantly since 2008, with much more awareness and discussion about creating safe and respectful work environments for everyone involved in film production. This cultural shift has encouraged many people to speak more openly about past experiences that they might have previously kept private. Industry watchers and entertainment journalists are always interested in behind-the-scenes stories about major films and the real relationships between the actors involved. So, these stories often provide insight into the actual process of making movies and the human dynamics that affect creative work. Both Diane Lane and Richard Gere have built their careers on their reputations as serious, professional actors who bring depth and authenticity to their roles. Any public discussion of their working relationship would likely be approached with the same level of thoughtfulness and professionalism that they bring to their craft. The impact of any revelations about their working relationship would depend entirely on the specific nature of what Diane Lane might choose to share. Different types of professional conflicts or concerns would have different implications for how the public and the industry view both actors. Hollywood relationships, both personal and professional, are often much more complex than they appear from the outside. The public sees the finished product and the promotional interviews, but the actual experience of making a movie involves countless interactions and dynamics that never become public knowledge. The entertainment industry has always been fascinated by the real stories behind movie productions, especially when they involve beloved films or respected actors. These behind-the-scenes stories often become part of Hollywood lore and can influence how people view both the films and the actors involved. As this story continues to develop, you guys, it's important to remember that professional relationships in Hollywood are complex and that any discussion of past working experiences should be viewed with an understanding of the full context and the passage of time since the events in question. The legacy of both actors' careers extends far beyond any single film or working relationship, and both Diane Lane and Richard Gere have contributed significantly to cinema through their decades of professional work. Whatever the truth might be about their experience making Nights in Rodanthe, it represents just one chapter in their respective careers. The entertainment industry continues to evolve in how it handles professional relationships and workplace conduct, and conversations about past experiences often contribute to creating better working environments for current and future film productions. I honestly think the most important thing is that people feel empowered to speak their truth about their professional experiences, especially when those experiences might help create better working conditions for others in the industry. The entertainment business has made significant progress in recent years toward creating more respectful and professional work environments, and that progress often comes from people being willing to share their authentic experiences. Whatever Diane Lane might choose to share about her working relationship with Richard Gere, you guys, it's part of a broader conversation about professional conduct, creative collaboration, and what it takes to create the best possible working environment for everyone involved in making movies. And honestly, after 17 years, if she does have something important to say, it's probably something that she's thought about carefully and believes is important for people to know. Sometimes it takes time to gain the perspective and the platform necessary to speak about professional experiences that were complicated or challenging. The film industry will continue to have these conversations about professional relationships and workplace conduct because they're essential for creating an environment where everyone can do their best creative work. And sometimes those conversations are prompted by people like Diane Lane being willing to share their authentic experiences from their long careers in Hollywood. So you guys, what do you think about all this? Do you believe that professional tensions between co-stars can significantly affect a movie's production and final quality? Have you noticed any signs in Nights in Rodanthe that might suggest there were behind-the-scenes challenges between the lead actors? And honestly, how important do you think it is for actors to speak publicly about difficult working relationships versus keeping those experiences private? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because this whole situation really makes you think about what we don't see behind the glamorous surface of Hollywood movie making. And if you want to hear more about Hollywood behind-the-scenes drama and industry secrets, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our deep dives into entertainment industry stories.